brought us in. They let us camp on their properties constantly. They introduced us to families. They want us to go to quinceañera parties and festivals and birthday parties and families gatherings. And it was just, we could have biked to Mexico in 3 months, and instead it took 4 months just because of the hospitality we were shown.
Welcome to Experiences You Should Have, your how-to guide for amazing experiences. I'm Gail, and today I'm going to be taking you onto a journey, a bike journey, with Ville and Kristen Jorgensen, who biked all the way from Alaska to the tip of Argentina as a couple, and they are still together. I know, pretty fantastic, guys. Now, you can't actually bike it straight through. They had to take a ferry across. They had to take other modes of transportation to cross unsafe borders. However, they still biked a long way for 20 months. And they did it on the cheap with only $800 a month to spend, $400 each. To spend for 20 months to do this. It's pretty incredible. I'm extremely wowed by this couple, and I'm excited to share their story with you. Okay, for you listeners out there, I'm interviewing the most badass couple that ever lived. Ville and Kristen Jorgensen. They biked from Alaska to the tip of Argentina. And we live in the same town of Bend, Oregon, because all badasses come from Bend, Oregon. Okay, maybe not all, but a lot of them, right? Is that right?
That is true.
So Bend, Oregon, it's home to adventurers and people who travel and experience life. And I am so in awe of your story. I mean, that is huge. Most people don't even take 2 weeks off a year. And you biked over 18,000 miles.
Yeah, well, you say it like that.
Yeah. It sounds kind of stupid, I mean.
Like, oh my goodness. I mean, I used to think I was cool. I used to think I did really cool stuff. And then I hear your story and I'm like, oh my goodness, this couple found each other in life, first of all. Sorry, I did a little snooping online. I saw you guys met on a diving boat in Vietnam. Is that right? I'm a diver. Yeah, I'm a diver too. I'm a big diver. Listen to Experiences You Should Have podcast on new diving adventure experiences. And I think that's so cool that you met halfway around the world and then you guys embarked on this epic adventure.
Yeah, Ville, how did we meet? What was the story?
Yeah, I want to hear how you met.
Okay, so I'll tell the real story.
Yes.
So we were on the top of the scuba diving boat between two dives, and people were jumping off the boat into the water, and just taking a break, eating snacks, and I saw her down in the water, and I went all the way to the top of the boat, and I wanted to impress her by jumping really close to her. And that's what I did. I dove head first into the water, but I lost my shorts. Yeah. And I think she was so impressed.
Yeah.
That she just, 11 years later, we're still married.
Wow.
That is the official story. Whatever she said is not official.
That's a fantastic official story.
Yep.
So here, you lose your shorts, you gain a wife. Okay, how did you decide to go bike from Alaska to the bottom of Argentina? And then we're going to walk through a how-to guide later. So if our other listeners want to do this too, they can learn how. So how did this come to be? Were you drinking late one night? Like, how did this, where did this idea come from?
You would think so.
Yeah, it actually, it would be better if it were a drinking story. But we actually, when we were dating, We did a little jaunt through the woods called the Pacific Crest Trail.
Oh,
and
just
we
a jog
just
through the woods.
little jaunt, yeah,
Yeah.
from the border of Mexico to Canada. And we had never slept in a tent before overnight.
And that was your first time was on the PCT?
Yeah. And the first time was on the Pacific Crest Trail, yeah, the whole thing. And so we hiked that. And when we hiked that, I think the whole idea of a bike tour kind of came to be, was like a thought, that passing thought that ended up turning into, he was like, this is cool hiking and all. What would be really cool is if, we did a bike tour, that we're going to move a little faster and, different scenery, and it's kind of a little bit different experience. And he wanted to do South America. And then I'm like, oh, that'd be awesome. But I really would like to also see Canada and Alaska, because I've heard amazing things and haven't experienced that. And he's like, well, we could do the whole thing. And so that kind of came from there. And then he kind of looked into it and he's like, that we probably should start at like Fairbanks and down, because that's where the roads are good. But it was like, oh, but we're not going to just start like kind of all the way to the top. We got to start all the way at the Arctic Ocean. And from there, it was Prudhoe Bay to Fairbanks, which is a Dalton highway and a mud pit.
That was a bad idea.
Yeah, looking back, it was a little bit like smart, but it was good. It put hair on our chest. Got a lot of hair now on the chest.
Oh, like real
like a rug.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, you guys are living. You earned every single hair on that chest. That's right.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, so I need to know how did you do this? Where did you actually go? How did you go from Alaska to the bottom of Argentina? How long did it take? Take me through the experience. Share the experience with our listeners here. I mean, we don't have days or hours, but but quickly take me through the experience.
Quickly, yeah. So we had no experience in bike packing or bike touring, which is what it's called when you would travel by bike. And so we got the bikes. We got them 2 weeks before the trip. Took them on a 10-mile trip. Put some weight in them, like rice bags, and okay, it seems that everything nut and bolt is staying and everything's
didn't fall off. So
boxes. So we packed them in boxes and flew them to Prudhoe Bay, Alaska. It's a kind of like a cargo plane because it's not a touristy spot. So it's just us researchers and oil field workers and 2 idiots on bicycles. And we get there, and then we just put the bikes again together there at the airport. And locals are warning, you got to be careful for the first 100 miles. There's polar bears. After that, you're fine. It's only grizzly country. And so that was it. And then we
did you see any bears? Did you have to use your bear spray?
We saw over 60 bears.
What?
Alaska. Yeah.
Okay, Kate, did you see any like mama bears like growling at you? Like, was it?
Yeah. We had one incident that was, I had to change my pants afterwards.
Yeah, we had an incident coming down late night down a hill, and it was into an uphill. And when we came to the bottom of the hill, and we're not moving fast, our bikes move at about 12 miles an hour, very, very slow. They're about 100 pounds fully loaded, so we're not going anywhere quickly. It's not the Tour de France. And so came down the hill, Mama Bear came out from the brush right on the side of the road, right onto the road in front of us. And we stopped, braked, kind of like got off our bikes, and her 2 little cubs came out behind her. And then we were like, oh no, now we're really screwed. And of course, we're thinking like, oh, this is a really bad time to realize that our bear sprays are buried in the bottom of our panniers. So
where they should be, right?
Bad call. And so, so then unfortunately she pinned her ears and started to charge us. And our bikes were the only thing between us and her. And when she got pretty close to us, we were trying to remember, like, oh my gosh, when you're in this moment and you're trying to remember really quickly, like, what you're supposed to do when you're being attacked by a bear. It's like stop, drop, and roll, climb under your desk, You know, they don't teach you this in school. Yeah. Right. And so then all of a sudden we luckily quickly remembered, like made ourselves really, really big, started yelling and screaming and making a lot of noise. And luckily she decided to turn, take her cups and bail off into the woods.
Oh my gosh.
Like another 10 miles in Bela, and I think, did have to change our pants and then pitched a tent. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Do you watch the show Working Moms on Netflix?
I haven't seen it.
Okay. All right. It's a great show. Any like working mom listeners out there? There's this great moment. It's like this mom, like she's got the baby in the stroller and this bear comes out and she like roars at the bear and the bear like scampers away. I don't know. It's what I went to in my mind. So others might go there too. That is super impressive. You scared away a mama bear growling at you. Like that is an oh crap moment. You could have died.
Right. Well, I mean, for the listeners out there that can't see his muscles here, these huge guns that I married over here.
Yeah.
But that's really what scared away the bear.
They are real.
Okay. Yeah. That's super impressive. How many people can say that they scared away a mama bear while they were biking from Alaska to Argentina?
That's true.
Nobody. Yeah. Okay. You're the only ones with this story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And if you have that story and you're listening, I want to hear about it. Okay. So you defied death. You scared away this mama bear. You're still living. I mean, were there doubts in your head of like, should we be doing this? Or like, what are you thinking after this?
I think you think that on and off a lot. On and off, just because I mean, this is such a long undertaking that you're in it. And then there are definitely moments like pouring down rain, like pelting you in the face for 2 straight weeks on the Oregon coast to the northern California coast in October, that I thought Ville was going to lose his mind and quit because he was so over it. We were soaked all the way to the bone. It's just in your face, raining all day long. All our gear is soaking wet. We're those homeless people that are at the Safeway trying to hide under the awning in the middle of the day, dragging out all our tent and gear and trying to pull it, drape it over shopping carts to dry. And that happened for about 2 weeks till finally the sun came out in Fort Bragg, way down there.
Yeah.
And it was like a magical moment.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was a moment where it was like, why are we doing this for fun again?
Yeah, we didn't have, like, this was also a curse and a blessing, but we didn't have the funds to stay in like hotels or motels. And so we camped, I would say 95% of the nights on this trip for the 2 years that we were on the road.
Wow.
We didn't afford to get a hotel until like we got to south of the border. Every once in a while, once a week, we got a place to stay.
Right. But I think part of the beauty of being able to do a bike tour that lasted almost 2 years was that it wasn't like a vacation that lasts a week or two and you spend so much time kind of trying to unwind from your stress. And then by the time you're getting really relaxed, you're thinking about the going home part again. And so what was nice about 2 years was our norm became such a relaxed, easy, completely different change of mindset than the norm for people. So it was just actually being able to be relaxed. And I know thinking on this, most people are thinking you're out of your mind. That would totally scare the crap out of me, not knowing where I'm going to sleep or eat or do where I'm going every single day or night. But for us, it was so calming, and all day you're in nature and you're just pedaling. Every day is a pedaling meditation and you're just in it. And it's the scary or stressors are actually, oh my gosh, we're about to get mauled by a bear, which is what our body should be stressed about, instead of why is the copier not working and why is the Wi-Fi down, or stuff like that. So that's kind of beauty of it, I think.
Yeah.
You were truly living. You weren't just living through your computer. You weren't living through Skype or email. You were living. And that's how generations prior to us You know, they're having to worry about lions or tigers or bears or elephants or whatever it may be. And you're truly experiencing life.
Yeah.
That's killer. So tell me the entire route. Like how did you do this?
Yeah, so after Alaska, we crossed to Canada, Yukon. I'll just tell you the route, and then we dissect it more if we want. Yukon, and then down to British Columbia, and through the San Juan Islands and
Hell
Vancouver.
yeah, I love the San Juan Islands.
Yeah, they're gorgeous, excellent for biking too. And then after that, we just kind of stayed on the coast, 101, Highway 1, till we got to San Diego. Then we crossed to Mexico, went down Baja all the way down, did a little loop at the end, and then took a ferry from La Paz to Mazatlan on the mainland Mexico. Then we rode through like central Mexico, like, you know, Guadalajara, Mexico City, Puebla, and all that. And then after that, we crossed to Guatemala. And then we just started crossing almost once a week Central American countries because they're so small. So El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, then Panama. And once we got to Panama, we had that problem of like, because there's no border crossing, there is no land crossing. You have to fly or take a boat. And because of our budget, we couldn't afford to take the boat. So we flew to Colombia. And then started from like the very northern Colombia and rode through Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, where we had to choose between the coast or the mountains. And the mountains are obviously the Andes. So that's, you know, that was big time climbing. And then you could do the coast, which is flat, but it's hot and boring. So we chose the Andes. And after that was Bolivia, and then was the last country once we crossed the border from Bolivia to Argentina, we knew that we're going to finish in Argentina. Well, we still had about 4,000 miles to go, which is like going from here to New York and halfway back.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But then also we kind of got bored with the desert in Argentina. So we zigzagged between Chile and Argentina. And Chile and Argentina the difference is kind of like if you're from Central Oregon. Argentina is the Central Oregon, and Chile is the valley, the Rainy Valley.
Got it.
Okay, that's the long story.
Okay, so how long did that take you?
So 20 months.
20 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we kind of had to stay in the weather window because we started in summer, obviously June 24th, 2016.
Yep.
Is that when we started? Okay. And so then we had to stay through the summer all the way going south. We pedaled through summer, and then when we got to winter, we were then in Mexico. And then we headed down, right, through Central America and then into South America. And then it's flipped, right? So when we were down there, winter here was summer down there.
That is my kind of life.
Yeah. And so by the time we finished, we were in summer in South America at the tip, but I mean, it still was 50 degrees in their summer. You're not wearing a bikini.
Yeah.
I tried, but I couldn't.
Love it. I want photos.
No, there's videos and photos. He loves to be naked. They're all
on. Man.
They're on our website.
We got a lot of time on bikes and get some good ideas.
Okay, and we're going to include some of this information on our show notes on experiencesyoushouldhave.com. Click on episodes. You're going to find all sorts of amazing information there. So 20 months on bikes, you're having this epic journey. First off, I need to know what were your favorite parts and why. And then also why someone else should have this experience.
Okay. Yeah, favorite parts. I think we both agreed by the end. Favorite country was Mexico, and that was because the experiences we had in Mexico leading up through the U.S. heading toward Mexico, we had a lot of concern for our safety and well-being because of a lot of what we hear on the news and so forth. And then to the point where we actually started kind of self-doubting ourselves going to Mexico, even though we'd been like 3 times.
Mhm.
And so, but when we passed through Mexico, when we entered or going through mainland, just started through mainland Mexico, the president changed over, our new president. And so the first thing on the docket was wall building.
Oh, wow.
And we were a little bit concerned that all of a sudden, staying out of politics, this threw us directly into politics. And
Right.
we were actually kind of concerned about our safety and how we would be treated south of the border, and very much gringos. And we were not in touristy spots. We were very much in mainland Mexico. So
Yeah.
it was the complete opposite than what we even had a concern for. We were taken in, treated absolutely amazing by everybody down there. Never a concern for our safety. People fed.
Yeah.
They brought us in. They let us camp on their properties constantly. They introduced us to families. They want us to go to quinceañera parties and festivals and birthday parties and families gatherings. And it was just, we could have biked to Mexico in 3 months, and instead it took 4 months just because of the hospitality we were shown through Mexico.
Wow. Now that's humanity right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of our faves.
Yeah, definitely there kind of noticed something that the less the people had, the friendlier they were. You know, just they, whatever they had, the little they had, they wanted to share. And that was really touching, and something that I hope that I kind of could take that and be more like that, and be as open as they were. They didn't know us, and they just opened their doors and invited us in. And there was never of like, you know, what if there's something, you know, they steal something or nothing. It was always like, welcome in, and this is my house, and you can
stay as long as you want.
Stay as long as you want. It's just this
Mhm.
beautiful thing that I didn't even know really existed.
Yeah.
That is so beautiful. Sorry, I am a huge believer in humanity and society, and inherently, I think everyone is good. And
sorry, you asked why someone should do this. And
yeah,
that is the exact answer. Is right there. It just brings back the your
real part of people
and your trust, or your
belief in
humanity. Yeah, it's just like people are good. 99% of the people are good in this world.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Vila and I are we're big smilers, and we laugh a lot at all kinds of antics, usually our own. But I think that what you give is what you get back. And when you put a smile on your face and you smile at everybody and you say buenos dias, buenas tardes, and you make a conversation with people, they're just open to bring it right back to you. And once you've broken that barrier, then all of a sudden you're not just a passing person. All of a sudden you become something more, and then a friend, right? And so I think it's really, really amazing for us to see and had that experience. That it actually, I mean, that right there is world peace, right? That's what we're all after.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is so warming to my heart to hear this. I experience this all the time randomly with people where I'm like, people are so good. Let's trust all the strangers. Then we're having to teach our children, like, don't trust those strangers. And you're trying to explain why. And she's like, because they might take me. And I'm like, well, most people won't, you know, but it's so nice to hear your experience with humanity throughout different countries other than your own, and even going through a weird political time, and that you experienced such hospitality. I love that. Absolutely.
Yeah. And one of the biggest hospitality was in the country that we were most warned about. So that was kind of like the contrast there was like all this hype about it's so dangerous, and then it being like the complete opposite.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that kind of.
Yeah, it was good. Mm-hmm. It was good. And then I'd say, I mean, I know you said one, but I'd say the other place, because it was such a long.
Yeah.
One other place that we both really loved was Peru. And as Vile said, when we got to bike through the Andes, so our highs were over 16,000 feet, right? And then you're biking all the way down to like 300 feet and then climbing again to over 16,000. So it's like not hours of climbing, it's days of climbing.
Yeah.
And hours of down. And because we chose that route, we were really, really in the mountains of Peru. And it was all villages. It's not big cities, it's not big towns. And so what we got to experience was a lot of people who live on the roadside and herders that herd their animals to their villages. They live in mud, walled huts. They have no doors a lot of times or windows. And they've got, the family living, and their kids walk miles uphill to get to school, which we gave rides to on the back of our bikes many times. Yeah.
School bus.
Yeah, we're the school bus.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, but just making connections with a lot of these people too really was such a different world. It wasn't like we had just gone to a different country. It was like we went to a different planet, because there's no electricity, no running water. It's wells. There's no phones. There's no computers. There's no TVs. There's none of it. It just was nowhere. And so to be able to go 2 months through those mountains and experience just people that actually live off the land was a pretty amazing experience. I felt like that why I would say go do a bike tour, and especially one of those places would be Peru. Go get your butt kicked on a bike in Peru, and you will really feel like you're in a totally different world. Like such a great experience. Yeah.
Okay, what's your favorite town in Peru?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know. Maybe Huaraz was pretty good.
Yeah, Huaraz is a really cool town that you can actually do a bunch of trekking out of, and there's a huge national park there that you can go see. But I really liked going. We got to go to Cusco. My parents flew down and met us from Bend. I'm from Bend originally. My parents came down and met us there, brought a duffel bag of bike goods to help us patch our needs. And so we got to take the trip to Machu Picchu and a bunch of the ruins around there. I thought going there was a pretty special experience, especially
with her parents. Yeah, I thought that because it was really cool to go there with her parents, and because I don't know if they would have gone without us.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know, but I think it was just really nice to see their reactions on the things that they saw in Peru that we had been looking for almost 3 months.
Yeah.
So it was really cool to see when their eyes got wide and, and they're like, wow. So that was really cool.
Yeah. They were just so mind blown by the ladies with their dress, bright colored dress.
Yeah.
And they're carrying a bunch of chickens with the legs tied around their arms, and they're just walking through marketplaces and just the chaos of, Latin American marketplace and stuff. And just seeing my parents just jaw dropped, and Vila and I've been living in this for months, like you said. So for us, it was just the norm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
Okay, so you traveled through many different countries. How many countries?
15.
15 different countries.
Yeah, which the easy part of that was like 13 of them spoke Spanish and 2 of them English. So once you know those 2 languages, it was nice. You just didn't have to change the language at all.
Now, what if you don't know Spanish? Could you have done this trip?
I think you could have.
You'd learn it.
But you would not enjoy it as much. And it just opens so many more doors just to be able to have a conversation and know more about the culture.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, my Spanish was real bad. I grew up in Bend. I took a little bit of Spanish in high school, and I totally just like, I'm never going to use this, so why bother listen? Vila's Spanish was a little better than mine, but still rusty. And so we just spoke. We just listened and spoke. You pushed ourselves to actually speak it, and we learned a lot as we went. It was just kind of a forced learning. And when you're immersed in it, everyone's speaking it, you're reading it, you're seeing it all around you. It actually, you get pretty good. Even if you can't speak super well, you get by, and you do understand a lot more.
Yeah.
It just, goes that way. So, yeah.
Okay, so I'm a lover of food. Like I love food, and I want to taste life. I want to experience life. And you got to travel through lots of different countries and eat a lot of their food. What was your favorite country for food and why?
Mexico for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the only country we didn't have a hard time keeping weight because we were burning so many calories per day that sometimes it was hard to get enough food in, especially if the towns were far apart. But Mexico was just, gastronomical fireworks all the time going off. Just like you think like, oh, you're saying like, oh my God, I found the best taco today. Like, oh my God. And the next day you're like, oh my God, this taco is even more better.
Yeah, chili rellenos and like you said, all different kinds of tacos, so many different kinds of plates, and every different area was known for so many different kinds of foods.
Yeah.
In Mexico, they have a lot of chilies and flavors, and it was funny because we actually thought that we actually are bordering Mexico, so we do get a lot of Mexican food that infiltrates into American food, U.S. food, but I think once we started down south of Mexico, we just assumed that it would be similar food. But actually, through a lot of Central American countries, it's really based around black beans, rice, and chicken.
Yeah, no spices.
No spices. Yeah, it's
wow.
a lot more plain. Colombian food actually was a little better. I thought it had a little more spice and a little variation to it. But to be honest, then Peru, Bolivia, like I said, we went in the mountains. These cultures are very removed, and they're moving their animals. So the chicken that you just saw running around outside is what's going to be served on your plate, just chopped there, grilled, and on your plate, right? So it's very plain and very simple food.
But it's farm to table. You are very hip.
For sure.
Very hip.
Yes.
Okay, so I am now going to get into logistics. So I want to know, so you took 20 months off of work to do this. How much money did you need to save in order to take 20 months off and live while biking on this crazy, amazing journey?
Yeah, good question. So I would just start with the bikes. Like the bikes were, we got some deals. We had some great support from some local businesses like Hudson's Bicycles, and then another band bike project. Awesome people. So we got a little bit of help with the bike parts and stuff like that. So, but I would say we spent about $2,000 each on each bike and all the gear involved, the bags and stuff. And then the rest of the stuff we had, like the camping gear we already had. And then, but after that, it was just the first flight ticket to Alaska. And then we own our house here in Bend, and we rented it out. And that was the money that we got from the rent that paid every month for the trip. And that wasn't a lot. It was about $800 after taxes and insurances. All that we had was $800 a month. So
for two people for the whole trip.
Yeah.
So
$800 a month for two people. And you were able to eat and clothe yourself and have shelter for that?
So
$400 each month. Like
I know. It sounds crazy, and it was really hard, especially like Alaska. Everything's super expensive, and we had to go a little bit over budget there. But we really didn't have a lot of nest egg, so it was really hard. But once we crossed the border to Mexico, and things start, a meal start costing $1.50, so it gets a lot easier.
Right.
Because we had about $20 a day to spend on the two of us.
Yeah, he told me he'd take me to beautiful places. He just didn't tell me that I'd have to pedal there and I'd have to sleep in a tent.
But he got you to do it.
Yeah, but I took her to beautiful places. It was some money.
And you had authentic food, you know,
Yes.
the most and farm to table food. I mean, seriously, and you got to see the land and the oceans and the mountains.
Yeah, and I mean, we didn't have to pay for gym memberships. The exercise came free with the
That's
travel.
right. That's right. Oh my gosh. Okay. So you have these tents. How do you know it's safe? Like where are you camping and how are you showering? Like how'd you make this work?
Showering or not showering.
Oh, so you stinky.
Well, so we actually always had the one rule we stuck to the entire ride was that wherever we camped, if we rode our bikes to the end of the day and then we kind of scope out a place that we could like duck into the woods or the bushes or the trees. This is a lot of Alaska, Canada, very remote places. It got a little harder when we were in places where it was more congested. We just asked people places to camp in their farms, on their porches, and, around their house. But we always made sure that nobody ever saw us where we went to camp. So this was a designated camping spots. So we would just ride till dark and then we would make sure no cars were going by or no one saw us. And then we kind of duck into the woods and go find a place to pitch our tent and camp. And we didn't use a lot of lights. We never had a fire or anything like that. And so we were always just really careful to be hidden when we were camping. And then we just had to be careful when we would go into a store. One would go buy groceries or whatever. The other one would sit outside with the bikes and the gear. Just because opportunity, right? If there's poverty or people that don't have something and you have stuff of value, the opportunity is there for it to disappear, and it was all that we had. So we definitely just made sure to keep an eye on our stuff.
Yeah.
But we just camped along the way. And as far as showers, occasionally we here and there, like you said, it got cheaper. Mexico through most Central American countries. It got more expensive through Argentina and Chile are a lot more comparable, I'd say, to US prices, are a little bit less. So they were not cheap. But otherwise, occasionally we just, get a hotel and get a shower, and that way we would stay married.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, Central and South America, there's this cool culture, especially like fire stations and police stations, hospitals, Red Cross buildings, that you can kind of go and ask if you can camp there. And sometimes they would give us it's just like a closet room, and we were able to take a shower or whatnot. So it's kind of just winging it, and there was always somehow, like when you needed a shower, it just somehow appeared from somewhere. Whether it's a garden hose in someone's farm, or it's a lake or a clean river.
Right. It might not be hot water, but it's definitely water.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Now, what if you have limited mobility and you are traveling via Trike? Were there areas where the bike paths were a little bit wider that you would say would be a really cool area to travel via Trike?
Yeah. Many places. I'd say Mexico had a great roads for cycling. Not Baja, not so much, but mainland Mexico. And then San Juan Islands that we talked about, hardly any car traffic.
Really great cycling.
And just great cycling, beautiful. And if there's any cars, they're going really slow.
Yeah. Did you go to Lopez Island?
We did, yeah.
I love Lopez. Yeah. Everybody waves to you as you go by on Lopez. It's like the friendliest island in the world. It's one of my favorite places.
Yeah, it's nice and hippie-ish.
Yeah, Vila, what are you talking about? Who you got to meet?
Oh yeah, that was actually on the main San Juan Island.
Near Friday Harbor?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So we were having fish and chips there, and this guy with his son comes and stands in the line behind us. And I take a look, who came in, and
there's us and him in there.
Yeah,
that's it.
And I'm like, man, that looks like Chris Pratt, the actor. Yes, I was like, oh man, I like Chris Pratt a lot. The Parks and Rec, I really like him.
Big
And
fan.
and so I take a double look, and I was like, then I started like elbowing Kristen, and I like, hey, is that Chris Pratt? And she's like, I'm not sure. So I turn around and ask, excuse me, are you Chris Pratt? And he says, well, yes, I am. He ended up being super nice guy. We chatted for 15 minutes and, played with his son. And then he agreed. He thought that we were crazy.
Yeah.
And he's super
Yeah. We lived there. I'm like, no. And showed him our bikes, and he thought we were out of our mind.
Yeah.
What we were
I
doing.
love it. I love it.
Super cool guy.
Oh, fantastic. I love it when you hear about cool actors you already think is cool from things you watch and find out that they're actually really cool people.
Super, funny guy, down to earth, just having fish and chips with his son, just
sweet. Chris Pratt, I really hope you're listening to this podcast because we all think you're really cool.
Right.
Hi, Chris. We want to be your friend.
Hey, Chris, I told you we made it.
We made it.
They made it. Okay, and I would like to know about the culture that you're in. You're going through many different countries. You're not in America anymore. What are tips that you would give to other people traveling through South America and Mexico to be culturally appropriate?
That's a good one. So I think one of the things that, as somebody who travels a lot, as being from the U.S. and then traveling outside the U.S., I think one thing we Americans tend to be really loud and kind of like formulate our opinions about things going into things. But trying to just be really open-minded, quiet, open-minded, and observant before snapping to judgments of how something is, and just taking things all in and trying everything. I mean, experimenting everything, not having like an opinion on what something would be weird or gross or whatever. Try the food, especially larva, right? Is that your fave?
Yeah.
We ate larva in the Amazon in Peru.
You ate larva?
I did. Yeah.
Was it good?
It wasn't bad. It wasn't good. It wasn't bad. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll take it. I'm not scared yet,
Yeah, it was one of those things like someone in the next table next to us got dared and he tried to do it, couldn't do it. So, it's a guy thing, so I had to do it.
Okay. All right. I respect that. I respect it. I would have tried it too.
Yeah. But I think one funny thing actually that happened to us in Central America, when I started to not feel well one day and I started dealing with the heat, I started to have a bladder infection on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere.
Oh,
and
yeah.
We were at a little cafe.
And you don't have Cipro, you don't have cranberry juice. What do you do?
Right.
Losing it, totally meltdown.
Oh my God. Oh, I am so sorry. I could feel the pain.
Stopped on the side of the road in a cafe, and the lady at the place, so sweet, just took charge, gave me some cold towels, told me to sit down and hang out, and was like, you wanted to be like, you're gonna go with my son, and you're gonna go up to the next town and get some
you're gonna go to the pharmacy with my son. And so I just jump on the motorcycle with the son, and we rode into this pharmacy, but that was just basically a bookshelf with a desk in front of it. This couple they were younger than us, and just standing there, and they started. I just show up and to start telling what's going on, and they're like, okay, kind of looking at me like weirdly. Okay, here's for the pain, here's for the infection. Then I'm like, okay, thank you so much, and I'm kind of heading out, and they go, hey, hold on, Gringo, what are you doing here? Like, this is not a touristy place, so what are you doing here? And then I, tell them what we're doing, and they're like, wow. And they ask, how old are you guys? And I said, I think we were 36 or 37 at the time. And I tell them we're 37. And they go, where's your kids? instead of like, do you have any kids? It's like,
Right.
you're 37, you better damn have some kids, you know?
Yeah.
So, and that was like one of the cultural things that we kind of started like every day was pretty much that, like, where's your kids? Like, did you just leave them to grandparents? Or like, so I continued and I said, no, we don't have any kids. And then the look on their face was like, oh. So the husband, and you know, they're in their 20s and they got a bunch of kids running around. And the husband reaches underneath the desks and puts this package on the table and says, "Es un regalo. This is a gift, and it's Viagra." Now I have to say I'm not a doctor, but I don't know if that helps. But I'll try. Yeah. So that was kind of like just the norm. Like, where's your kids?
He's solving your problems, you know, like he's trying to be helpful. Oh my gosh. That is the best story. I love that story. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I was in such a hurry to get back to her that I completely forgot to tell the story for like 6 months.
6 months?
Then,
you waited 6 months to tell that story? I could have waited like 20 minutes.
I know, because she was in such a pain. So I just, you know, here's your medication and blah, blah, blah. And then, then it just came up in a conversation. I said, oh, yeah, we got a Viagra from a pharmacy. She goes like, what? Oh, yeah, that's a great story. Yeah, right.
You cannot sit on that story for 6 months. Like, that could have been like some serious story time while on the road right there.
Yeah. It was in the vault.
That would have had me giggling through like at least 3 countries, you know? Right? Right?
Yeah.
That's oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's a cultural difference for sure.
Okay, hashtag best story ever. That's amazing. Okay, so we are nearing the end of this interview, and I want to know, what is the one thing that you were super happy to be traveling with, and why?
Well, one thing that I just kind of want to point out to people out there is I'm from Finland. I'm from the European Union country, and she's from obviously US. Our passports they're like the universal key. You can get anywhere with those, and you should really use them, because we met a lot of people that were making a lot more money than us, but just couldn't travel because their passports, they were, because what their current politics or their country, how it was economically, they just couldn't travel. And so I think just having our passports is a gift that I don't want to take for granted.
Mm-hmm. When you come from the happiest country in the world, right? But I mean, here you come from this country of happiness, and you're able to network with others, and share what you're learning on the road. That's incredible.
Yeah, it is definitely like the lessons we learn on this road will definitely be something that we'll forever cherish.
Yeah, I think one of the takeaways of the ride is it doesn't take experience. It doesn't take super special gear. Absolutely anybody can do something like this, because we had kind of the basics of gear and Vilena had zero experience, but you learn. That's life, right? You learn as you go along the way. And so it's something that I think your listeners out there can take from that, is that you don't have to plan out everything. There doesn't have to be a plan in place before you go. It's always going to change anyway, just like life throws all the curveballs at you. So just make a rough idea and wing it, and you'll get there. And I think anybody can do something like this solo or together or with a group. But for me, one of the best things that I took from this journey was meeting a partner in life who is so incredible and shares the same passions as deeply rooted as I do. And we were fortunate enough to meet each other somewhere in the world that we met, and that we get to journey on adventures like this and still laugh through life together. And I'm glad that I took him along for that 2-year ride, and I hope we continue to get to do this together forever.
Oh, that's super sweet. Okay, I am going to end on that note because that is super amazing. And I have all the feels right now. I hope you listeners do too. And you're so inspiring. You were not accomplished bike riders by any means. And you did this epic journey, $400 a month each.
Yeah,
That's
like a lot.
That's huge. And you have a story that will last a lifetime, that will continue on through the generations. And Chris Pratt might be at the dinner table right now talking about you too. Like that's hashtag pretty epic.
Man, that guy was good looking. From Sweden, was he, or Norway? Where was he from?
Oh, I love it. Thank you guys so much for being on the show. I just truly appreciate it. And remember to go to experiencesyoushouldhave.com. I'm going to be linking to this amazing couple's website, social profiles, pictures, providing information, costs, the breakdown, all the information you would ever want to know and more on experiencesyoushouldhave.com. And please also follow us on Instagram at Experiences Podcast. And if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts or on your iPhone, please leave us a 5-star review. Unless you didn't like us, then please don't leave any review at all. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for listening to Experiences You Should Have podcast. If you want to find out more information about this episode or learn about information from other episodes, please go to experiencesyoushouldhave.com, click on episodes, and you will see a plethora of show notes. I write up a huge article for each show, including links, information, pictures, everything that you would want to know and more. To help you on your journey if you wanted to do the same experience. So we'll be giving top tips, recommendations, and links for resources. And also, if you love this show, then I would love for you to review the show on Apple Podcasts or iTunes. And if you didn't like the show, then please do not review. And also, check us out on Instagram. We're fairly new to Instagram, but we do put these episodes up there. You can find us on Experiences Podcast there. We also have a Facebook group. Yeah, we're totally hip. So please follow us on social media. Tell your friend, family member, your newspaper deliverer, whoever you talk to in life, tell them about Experiences You Should Have podcasts. And if you have an idea for the show, or if you'd like to be on the show, then go to experiencesyoushouldhave.com, click on contact, send me a note, and I would love to hear from you. Thank you.